Welcome to the Milk Bottle e-commerce show, brought to you by Milk Bottle Labs, Ireland's top-rated and officially accredited Shopify and Klaviyo e-commerce experts. Founder Keith Matthews interviews e-commerce professionals, app developers and entrepreneurs to share as much digital knowledge and e-commerce tips and tricks as possible. This podcast is kindly supported by our go-to e-commerce tools, Rewind.io, the leading backup solution for Shopify, BigCommerce, Trello and more. Let's just say it's the cheapest insurance policy you'll ever get for your Shopify store and all your valuable data. Simply go to rewind.io/milk bottle to get your first month for free. Our go-to Shopify application to supercharge in-store pickup and local delivery on your Shopify store is Zapiet. It's fully customizable and scalable from one location to thousands. Backed by outstanding customer support, it's no wonder Zapiet is trusted by over 10,000 plus stores across 150 countries. Now over to your host, Keith Matthews.
Hey folks, welcome back. My guest today is Niamh Tallon. Niamh is the founder of HerSport.ie, a concept developed after seeing the disparity between media coverage of females and male athletes. As an athlete, her industry knowledge and relationships across different sports, from top-level athletes and coaches to a number of governing bodies, places her in a position of capability in delivering into this market space. In 2020, Niamh received the Digital Business Ireland Women in Digital Award and was also named in the Sport for Business and Business Post 30 Under 30 People to Watch. Niamh is a regular across Irish media channels including Off the Ball, RTE, Ireland AM and News Talk. And Niamh retails her brand on the Shopify platform. And I am delighted to welcome her today. Niamh, welcome.
Thanks a million for having me.
Thank you for joining me. Have you done many podcasts?
Yeah, a good few. We've obviously our HerSport podcasts that we have on a consistent basis, but then I love to check in and chat with other people and share a bit about the HerSport journey.
Perfect. And I asked that question just as I've mentioned Off the Ball, RTE and Ireland AM. So you have you're well versed with your media experience.
Yeah, no, it's good to talk about our journey, I think, as a business and share what we're doing. But then obviously the sports coverage and all that comes into it as well. So I get a nice mix of both.
Now, before we get into HerSport, you're obviously sporty.
Yeah.
So what's your preferred sport?
When I was in secondary school, I would have been heavily involved in swimming. So I would have swam competitively right through secondary school. I tried a couple of other sports as well. So I was involved in athletics, in hockey, camogie for a very brief period, football, horse riding as well. I'm sure there's a few others. And then when I was in college, I picked up rowing. So I was rowing until recently and now taking a little bit of a step back, maybe sport casually while I'm just trying to grow the business because there's lots of opportunities and I'll be involved in some capacity, but rowing's pretty time intensive. So we'll take a break for this year. So
is rowing similar to swimming? Is it still a kind of a get up in the morning at 5 o'clock sport?
Yeah, 8 to 10 sessions a week. So last year, we're kind of between the second and third year of our business and just a lot of time. It is doable, but I know there's a lot of opportunities out there for HerSport and I just want to make sure that we really grow the business and take those opportunities. Some of them are in Ireland, some of them are in the UK. There was a trip to Paris on the cards and that type of thing as well. So it's tough to be committed to a team and be committed to the business 100%. So it's the team that'll have to go on without me this year.
Yeah, and the truth is that if you're in a team, you have to be committed 100%, don't you? Yeah, absolutely. We mentioned, we were just talking before we pressed record there that you went to UCD. Have you seen the new pool?
I would have swam there, yeah. So I actually swam in college in a more casual manner. So I was on the second team there. I competed at varsities, but it wouldn't have been to the same level as when I was competing as a teenager. Yeah. So yeah, great facilities they have out there. It's 55 sports clubs UCD offers, so it's a huge amount. And any of the talks and workshops that I do around the landscape of women's sport and the opportunities, I just say to people, like, when you're in college, there's probably no other time in your life that you'll get exposed to so many different sports and the supports that you get and for the cost of it as well. Like, it can be 10, 20, 30 euro to be involved in these teams and get access to these facilities and trampolining, badminton, whatever you want to do, it's all there. So go for it.
Especially in UCD. I'm showing my age when I just said to you there. Did you see the pool? The pool was obviously built when you were there.
Like just the year before I started.
Okay.
So, and I know they've just opened up their track as well. So, unbelievable. I've seen facilities in the States as well, and really like we have top level facilities in Ireland too.
Absolutely, fully agreed. Before we dig into Her Sport, just give us a flavour for exactly what it is.
So HerSport was set up to empower and encourage girls and women in sport. I guess it started because I saw the lack of coverage of women in sport. You're going digging for the information. I saw elite athletes that were performing and not getting the credit that they deserved, and I just wanted to change that. And I explored the idea of doing a PhD and then kind of realised, look, you have the skills, just go for it and create a website. I understood the business model, and I understood how to use the technology, so I set up the website and the social media channels to start the coverage there. But we've evolved as a business. We do a lot of workshops and seminars now around the landscape of women's sport, encouraging teenagers to stay involved, encouraging women to re-engage with sport, educating men and women about being involved in sport and the barriers that girls and women might face. And then, we've our range of merchandise, and we've a membership platform, and lots of different things going on in the business. So it's been some journey thus far.
So there's very much a social enterprise element to the business.
Yeah.
Just on your point there about, giving workshops to young women and girls, is it equally as important to give a workshop to the boys?
Yeah, absolutely.
And do you do that?
We're talking to schools at the moment, and we're starting off with girls and mixed schools, and we definitely would be including the boys and men in that conversation. When it comes to educating adults and coaches and parents, we talk to everybody. Everybody needs to be aware of the barriers, and I think something for me is when people say they're a sports fan, you reflect on that. Are you a general sports fan? Do you watch men's and women's sports? Or if you reflect on it yourself, like, do you actually only watch men's sports? So then is it true to say that you're a true sports fan? So, it's just about opening that conversation. Like, a lot of people just carry on with their life and do what they're doing and don't realise maybe how the other half lives.
Yeah.
We're not quite at the point yet where we're delivering the workshops to exclusively to boys' classes or boys' groups, but that is definitely an aim because, they have to understand it as well. If you speak to them young, like they're friends with lots of other little girls or teenagers as well, and oftentimes they've been left out of the conversation when it comes to things like body image and menstrual cycle and some of the worries that their female counterparts have. It's not their fault that we're leaving them out, so it's time to bring them in on the conversation.
From my perspective, a male in his 40s observing the world right now, I mean, is it correct to say that the GAA, which is the, for international listeners, is our kind of national game, the Gaelic Athletic Association, has done a wonderful job promoting ladies football, and it's on television a lot, or you may think that it's not. That's what I'm trying to get to. If you look at the success of the English ladies soccer team and the recent qualification of the Irish soccer team to the World Cup, am I being completely naive thinking that it's changing, or is there just so much more to do?
It's definitely changing, and we've seen a huge difference in Ireland and in the UK recently. I think things are pushing forward in a couple of other countries as well. In terms of the GAA specifically, a lot of people don't necessarily realise that there's 3 organisations when it comes to Gaelic games. So you have the GAA, which covers men's Gaelic football and hurling, and then you have the LGFA, which is the Ladies Gaelic Football Association, which is women's football, and then you have the Camogie Association, which looks after women's hurling, which is, the Camogie is the equivalent of hurling there. So progress is certainly made in terms of ladies Gaelic football. I think the partnership that they have there with Lidl has really pushed things forward. We've seen increase year on year for the attendances at the matches and definitely elevating the profile of the players and more excitement building. And, I'd be confident that over the next 10 to 15 years, we will see a full Croke Park for a Women's All-Ireland final. So it is definitely getting there. The success of the Euros and England winning and all of the excitement that came with it, that will absolutely kick forward women's sport in the UK. And we're seeing a bit of a trickle over to Ireland as well. Brilliant results for the Irish women's soccer team here. that again will make huge strides in the uptake of soccer, the attention that the team are getting, all that kind of thing. I heard there was loads of young girls looking to sign up to play football, and it's a great team. The athletes are great. They're very personable. They take a lot of time with the fans. They're getting more and more opportunity. The work that Sky and Cadbury's are doing with them is brilliant as well. So very excited for the World Cup next year. It's the first major tournament the team has qualified for. So it always helps getting good results. So it's the same.
Good point.
In England.
Good point. So when there's a good result, it's just natural that the sport gets elevated.
Yeah, like the work is being done anyway, and the Irish football team they're playing really well. But for me, I absolutely want to see them get that result because I'm an Irish person and because I'm a fan. But even more so, I wanted that result for women's sport, because I think that it will really amplify what's going on for women's football in Ireland, but also for women's sport as a whole, and it will just continue to build on the success from that. If they hadn't qualified, then you're back in the situation where we're watching them at different tournaments. They haven't qualified for the World Cup. You might be waiting for the next time for the qualification of the Euros, and the team will still continue playing, but not at the major tournaments, which is where we want to see them playing.
So if we flip that slightly and you look at the lack of success of the men's team, is that what happens as a result when Ireland don't win or don't qualify for a major tournament? Does the same thing happen with the men's game, or do you think the men's game will always be the men's game? It'll just always be people playing it, people interested in it.
So many people play football in Ireland, men. Boys, like so many of them are playing. And then in terms of, you think about like soccer as a sport, like it's hugely ingrained in society. You have to look at like Premier League, Champions League, like we talk about all the UK teams, we talk about Barcelona, we talk about like a lot of that, and we don't have the same level of that discussion around the women's teams. Like Katie McCabe is playing for Arsenal, Louise Quinn is playing for Birmingham, and the conversation hasn't quite evolved as much, and it will continue. And football fans, like, go and look at the women's teams and see what they're doing as well. We always will have diehard fans when it comes to Irish football, and they will follow the men's team everywhere. And we just need to build that momentum behind the women's team, and it doubles the opportunity to enjoy the sport that you love. So if soccer is your thing, follow the two teams. If rugby is your thing, follow the two teams. Like with the rugby, it's the Irish women's team have just recently been issued with they're about to be issued with the professional contracts. So that's going to bring us up on par when it comes to the Six Nations now, and we're going to see change over the next couple of years. And a lot of people that we talk to that started watching the Women's Six Nations a couple of years ago are massive fans now. So it's exposure and trying something new, I suppose, for some people.
But it takes time, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It takes years and years to change a culture.
People ask, like, what are you trying to do? And I'm like, we're just trying to create a cultural change. I'm like, it's easy to write that down on paper, but to achieve it is certainly something difficult. But look, every day we do see progress. There might be a big win, there might be a small win, but certainly we're moving forward. At the same time, there's challenges every day too, but you just have to keep overcoming them.
Of course there is. Let's just take one moment and we will listen to our sponsors. Rewind.io is the leading data backup solution for your Shopify store. Did you know that there is no way of recovering lost data in Shopify? If your store is gaining traction, you may have multiple staff or third-party developers entering your store. Mistakes can happen and data can be easily deleted. Rewind.io puts you in control of your data, allowing you to restore anything accidentally lost from a single image to an entire store. It acts as a pretty cheap insurance policy for your Shopify account. At Milk Bottle, we help clients reduce their business risk by installing Rewind in every single store before we make any changes. Get your first month for free by simply replying to your sign-up email. So, Niamh, there's a disparity, in the coverage, right? Which is one of the reasons you started HerSport. To the blind observer, to a person that just listens to the radio every day or just watches a little bit of television and maybe doesn't even read the sports pages, can you just give us an example of that disparity?
There was an example made last week. We had 7 boxers in the European Championships, in the Women's European Boxing Championships, that had made it to guaranteed bronze medal, and I'm not sure had they gone through to the final. I think it was the guaranteed bronze medal position, and there was comments made online that wasn't on RTE News, and that they were talking about the Tour de France. I mean, the Tour de France isn't on at the moment. The Tour de France was a couple of months ago. Yeah. And, Kelly Harrington, our Olympic champion, was one of those boxers. Like, she came out as European champion there a couple of days later. But, you know, it's just about being cognizant and following the teams and flagging some particular athletes that you know are going to compete well, and then getting to learn, you know, the people that are coming up the ranks. So we do consistently have people tagging us saying, you know, there was X amount of stories about men's sport in this newspaper and that newspaper, and not one picture or story about the women teams or female athletes or whatever it is. So it is time to change, and we have seen advances on television. Like TG Carr are putting in a lot of effort to try and cover different sports and give exposure. But then I also think, like, in terms of some of the things that are going on, like, we're paying for a TV license. We're certainly not seeing 50-50 split when it comes to sport. And it's up to, I suppose, society to talk about that a bit more and to understand, actually, like, who are the taxpayers? And so we have some of the power to ask for these shows to be on some of our government supported channels. So there's momentum there. It is changing. We're doing a huge amount of work and covering a huge amount of stories on HerSport.ie across all our social channels, and that's why people keep coming back. Like, we're covering the bigger sports, we're covering some minority sports. Like, it's trying to give us as much as we can, but it's not just us, and you know, we need to give the coverage there so that everybody can see it. Men, women, girls, boys get that exposure and get that news.
Yeah, absolutely agreed. Funny you talk about the female boxers coming back home. The only reason I knew that those medals were won because a friend of mine was travelling through Dublin Airport and he met Kelly Harrington and he got a photo with her.
Brilliant.
You know, so you're actually, you know, you're dead right. That's
she's our
good
Olympic
example.
champion, like, do you know, and we had, you know, world champion fighting there as well.
Yeah.
Like, more than one world champion. But Amy Broadhurst was fighting Lisa O'Rourke.
Yeah. You can't be expected to
you
remember.
You can change that to Aoife O'Rourke if I got the wrong
Aoife,
O'Rourke. But
so one of the I met you at a Digital Business Ireland event, and we had a mutual friend who introduced us. We ended up after the event in a bar, and I remember we spoke at length for, you know, about what you do. And one of the things that intrigued me was that you've taken on a big task. Mm-hmm. You also have a Shopify store selling merchandise, and you're basically a media outlet. Okay, mm-hmm. So to the user that has never seen HerSport or seen the site or been on the site, what do you do on a daily basis?
A lot. Every day is different. What you can expect from us as an organisation every day is that there will be content there. There will be news stories there on women's sport. So we will deliver the news. We do interviews on a regular basis with athletes. We create different types of content. We want the content to be fun and to be engaging. So, you know, we have a couple of segments that are funny. Like, we have a series called You Laugh, You Lose that people really enjoy. We recently did it with the Wall sisters, the All Ireland champions from Meath, which you know, it's really funny content, and it's just about creating content that engages people and that they really enjoy. So that's the media side of the business. We do, you know, regular shows as well, keeping people updated if they like to consume video and audio content. But then kind of behind the scenes, we're working on things like our membership platform. We're working on the workshops and seminars that we do. The HerSport Awards will be coming up on the 28th of January. So that's all systems go.
How do you have time to do all of this?
I have a very long list of things to do. Yeah. It's a big task list. But.
So, like, there's 3 or 4 major awards in the e-commerce space.
Mm-hmm.
And look at our mutual friend Lorraine Higgins runs Digital Business Ireland, and it's even hard work for us to get our customers to enter the awards.
Yeah.
So, do you have access to obviously you have a great team, okay, to support you. But is hands on deck and bodies, is that hard? Is it constantly difficult because you're doing so much? Yeah,
no, it is a challenge, and like, we are a startup, and it's kind of the point of the journey that we're at the moment. And like, I have a vision of, you know, one person specifically being over merchandise, and that's like there all day, every day is that, you know, our corporate program that's, you know, one thing that somebody does all day, every day, then that the media and content side and, you know, content partnerships and advertising side is a whole other side of the business as well. And then we have our talks and workshops, and that has huge potential to grow out as well. So I certainly have a vision for a big team, but at the moment, you know, we are we're growing, but you are limited by resource. Like it's talent that we need. It's bringing people in to expand our team and to be able to help us with some of these things, and to have people cost money. So we have to choose wisely in terms of that expansion. But we brought on 3 people this year, and I'll be looking to bring on 2 to 3 more come kind of January, February time. So working on that at the moment. The more hands we have on deck, the more that we can do. But obviously, you can't jump too fast, or you can't afford it. So
yeah. The amount of people that try to set up media companies because content is very, very difficult to monetize. The amount of people that do it and then back out of it it's phenomenal, really. You know, one thing that intrigues me about you mentioned minority sports, and then you also mentioned mainstream sports.
Yep.
So, do you personally have to send somebody out to watch a game? For example, women's hockey is no longer minority. It's, again, through their success, as you mentioned, they have a corporate sponsor. But a junior county game in County Wexford, which could be a major game for the Wexford ladies, do you have the ability to send people down there? Or, is there a load of events that you're disappointed you can't get to, I suppose is my question.
Yeah, look, we'd love to cover everything, and we get a lot of people contacting us with results and that type of thing, and it's not possible to be at every single event, but we work very closely with the national governing bodies, and we got a lot of match reports or competition reports from them. So that allows us to share all of the news stories and the competition reports in one location, which is what we found with our community is they're all interested in lots and lots of different sports. You don't necessarily have someone that's specifically interested in camogie. They actually are genuinely interested in finding out some of the other news. Like it's a very good, like, kind of good feeling atmosphere among the community, which is nice. Like, they like being exposed to learning about other athletes, and that's what we've created. Like, we've created that community. But on the other hand, there are other sports that, in terms of the national governing bodies, they don't have the support themselves, so it's tough to get the news from there. So we follow social media very closely. We have good relationships with all of the female athletes around the country, pretty much. So if we need to get results, we'll get in touch with them, or and that type of thing. Like, when it comes to some of the county level stuff, it can be tough to find all the details. But a lot of people contact us and send us in news stories, and that's great, and we'll get as many of them up as we possibly can. But again, resources are limited, so we can only do so much. I don't want to be a business where we're only covering soccer, rugby, GAA, athletics. Like, I don't want to just cover your mainstream sports, because for me, like, they're not all the sports that everybody loves, and it's not from the fandom perspective, it's from the trying a new sport and getting somebody to engage. So, Elsa Desmond is the only Irish luge athlete in the country. And if we can expose that sport, and if we can share more about softball or about badminton or ice hockey, whatever it might be, ice skating, and that's what somebody's interested in doing, if we can direct them towards that to get involved, that's why we share those sports too. On one hand, some of the bigger sports, they have more eyes on them, they've more engaged, they've more people involved, and they also have sponsors. So that's where we will generate our revenue. But for me, it's about making an impact as well. And I want to see, like, more and more girls and women getting involved. It's twice as many girls drop out of sport as boys by the age of 14. 50% of women by the age of 20 will have dropped out of sport. So I want to see more of them come back and try something new. Some people don't like running, they don't like playing ball sports, whatever it is. Like,
but they may enjoy reading about the latest.
Yeah, and if we're providing that to be a sports fan too. Yeah. But a lot of people are trying cycling and are loving joining cycling groups. Go and do that. Or if it's triathlon, like, there's loads of opportunities for people. It's just about, like, letting them know that there's lots and lots of different sports out there. And then there's also a level from social, that could be once in a week, it could be once every 2 weeks, right up to competitive, where it can be 10 to 14 times a week. So it's about finding what suits you.
Yeah, absolutely. So again, producing content is difficult because you've got all of these channels to push it to.
Yeah.
I mean, everybody has jumped onto TikTok. I'm sure there'll be another one in 2 years' time.
Yeah. Be Real is taken off at the moment, but we're on it, but we're kind of observing as opposed to.
Okay. And for me, YouTube seems to be the one that has outlasted everybody. The quality of content up there has increased significantly. Is there one particular channel that you are getting a lot of success on?
Not necessarily, yes, I'd have to say. So look, we're just about to cross having 100,000 people in our community.
Well done.
A lot of that is made up from Instagram. So we have 45,000 people in our community on Instagram. And we've also just crossed having 20,000, in our community on TikTok. So they'd be two big ones for us. TikTok rapidly grew over a 3-month period from like 4,000 to over 20,000. So, for us, the volume is there. And there's opportunities to work with brands and get products and services, I suppose, in front of our community. So the relevant brands connecting with our audience, and something we're really proud of is the engagement rate. We've a really good engagement rate. People genuinely care about what we do, so they're loyal to us. But then for me, you mentioned YouTube. Like, we put a huge amount of effort in the last 6 to 9 months in building our YouTube channel and growing it and consistently putting up content. And last week we were monetized, so finally we've managed to monetize our YouTube channel.
So that's 4,000 hours in 12 months.
4,000 hours, yeah, and the 1,000 subscribers. So we were sitting on the 1,000 subscribers for a while. We've over 1,200 subscribers now, but it was the hours that we were just trying, and its consistency is just keep putting the content up. So
I have a personal channel with 3,250 subscribers. Yeah, but I don't have the 4,000 hours.
It's tough. It's really tough to get there, and for us, like, we're weighing up like different opportunities at the discussion table to see like what are the ones we're gonna pursue. And I was keen to really just try this and see how it goes, because if it's something that, like, we have some content that people will keep coming back to watch. Like, we produced a ladies Gaelic football documentary about the New York ladies team. They celebrated their 30-year anniversary this year. So that's something that people can go back and watch in 2 years' time, and they get the story. And then we also have our weekly content that we share. That's, the HerSport show that gives you the latest updates this week on women's sports. So we have a show called The Period Panel that people will go back and they'll watch the content that's in The Period Panel because it's educational and informative. So if we just keep putting that content up there, keep putting it out, and if that becomes kind of a passive revenue stream, almost, some of the content will become passive. And that's what we need. Like, we just need to keep generating revenue to support what we're doing. There's a lot of people that want us to do what we're doing, a lot of people that support us. Sometimes, like, we've just launched our membership platform and we're excited to see how many people signed up. But, people won't always convert and kind of put their money where their mouth is, I suppose.
Yeah, I was involved with a national publication many, many years ago in a job I had, and the owners had visited the offices of the New York Times. Mm-hmm. And the New York Times was one of the first international publications to nail subscriptions. Yeah. And it's extremely difficult. Mm-hmm. But if you search it online, there is stories written about what they did to break the mold. Mm-hmm. And I think now they bill maybe it could be $1 billion a month, mm-hmm. or it's something ridiculous. So people will pay for content once it's quality.
Yeah, and for us, like, the New York Times and what we are is obviously totally different, and that's the same when it comes, if you're looking at men's sport and women's sport, it is different. And what we're trying to do here is offer the content of women's sport to people. So, we don't want to paywall that and paywall content. Like, we want to keep delivering the news. So we're kind of it's like a rock and a hard place a little bit, where, we need the support to deliver more coverage. So when people want us to cover more games or more athletes and that type of thing, we have to, the more kind of financial opportunity that we have, the more that we can do. But for us now, like, things that are included in the membership platform are, discounts to HerSport products, discounts to partner brands. We run monthly competitions where members will get a prize. This month it's a Huawei watch, so it's a pretty good prize. We've access to free tickets to games. We're working closely with different organisations to grow the attendance at that sport, at the different sporting events. But also, if you're part of our community, like, you might get access to those tickets for free. And there's a couple of other perks in there too. But a lot of people, they believe in what we do, and they really want to see it continue to grow. And, like, even from the amount of people that have joined the membership in the past, like, it's only launched like 2 or 3 weeks, like, the difference that will make to us over the next year or 2 or 3 years is actually quite significant, and people don't necessarily realise that. We
manage stores that where 30-40% of their 7-figure revenue is is built on the back of subscriptions. So I get that, like, you know, analysing subscriptions. And when you add subscriptions to a business, it's a complete game changer. In actual fact, in VC companies that are acquiring e-commerce companies, if there's a subscription there with long tail future revenue, it increases the value of it.
It's of interest straight away.
It is absolutely.
Yeah.
Look, all I can say is well done.
Thank you.
Just to go to you made a point a couple of times that, you know, there's a lot of people that are supporting you and want you to do what you're doing. I can see why. I think it's fantastic.
Thank you.
And we just wish you the best of luck. And, you know, the Shopify store, I know it's in its infancy. I know it's obviously part of your grand plan and all of the things you want to do. So, you know, so well done. And I wish you every success, and I wish you a lot of success with your Shopify store as well.
Thank you.
Thank you for your time.
Thanks a million.
Thanks for listening. All of our episodes are available on Spotify, iTunes, and Google Podcasts. A special note of appreciation goes to our sponsors, Rewind.io, the leading backup solution for Shopify store owners. Get your first month of Rewind for free by simply responding to any welcome email once you sign up for your free trial on Rewind.io. If you're a Shopify user with an exciting story to tell, reach out to the team on podcast@milkbottlelabs.com. Until the next time, take care.